Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. I'm listening to the news to keep abreast with what people are saying and what people are doing in various parts of the country. And as far as that goes, various parts of the world. And I'm listening to the problems that exist and I'm listening to the talk about in regards to initiatives that should be tried, perhaps to make some kind of a change, some kind of appeasement is probably a better word. But as I listen, and I'm hearing from the east, the west, the north, and the south, and basically the same strategies are practiced everywhere, throwing ideas here and there. And as I observe this, I try to see if I can understand why it seems to be so complicated as far as eliminating the basic problems that exist, and they are not unique because what's happening in one country is happening in another, and another, and another. The same thing. People are being abused. People being exploited. Same thing. People are hungry. People are homeless. People are going through all kinds of changes. And so when I watch this, I'm trying to figure out what's the major problem. And I see, as I have observed, the major problem is no one wants to do the right thing. Everybody's trying to do something, and they might want to try to do something different. And this is the practice of our life. The right thing, they stay away from it. See, basically, what has happened is that what has been made, as I can see it. Now, let me just share some stuff. I made a couple of notes here. I think I want to share with you. Somebody says everybody need to get a job, and they're talking about as far as Medicaid is concerned. Um, and if they are not working, they should not receive Medicaid. And then someone else said, well, these jobs don't care about you. All these jobs care is about what they can get out of you. That's all these jobs care is what they can get out of you, how much service they can get out of you. And they petty change you, minimum wage, paying you for whatever they can get out of you. And you do it because of insurance purposes, perhaps. You're not sure. Anyway, it robs you. It's just one of those things that people try when they don't want to do the right thing. And when you start talking about the many of the world leaders, you got people who are speaking to you who are known crooks. They're known liars. They're known thieves. And you put them up to speak for you. Who gonna listen to anything they say? And these guys who are speaking who are crooks, they know people aren't listening to them. They know that people just know they are con artists, and they go forward and continue to being the con because they get paid for being the con. This is the game that the world plays. Most of us would think, how in the world could something like that happen? It happens. It happens. Why? Because it can happen. That's enough reason. You got this guy, a racist. I mean, what good can come from such a person when it starts talking about doing something for the nation where all kinds of people are there? Well, if they exist because the people exist. The people approve this kind of stuff. For whatever the reasons might be, they choose this conduct over another. But there are many people who are not like that. For instance, there in American history, I know they're in the Smithsonian. Donald Trump will try to make sure that this doesn't get in there, that this gets put out on the side because it tells the truth about America. Anyway, there were a couple of people who stand out. One was Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King. They represented human beings, but not just human beings. They represented a religious faith. One might be Islam and the other is Christianity. But they were the real deal. For the example are all the people in America who live in during these times. There were a few men who represented life during our times. And if you want to look at them, if you want to have some idea who they are, check them out. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. These men were the real deal. What I mean by real deal, they know that these faiths represent a kind of outcome that is superior to all outcomes that we might imagine when they are operating pure. And these men, one Islam, other Christianity, believed in this. They sought after this. They had recognized men and faith that had come before them who gave a facelift on what these are supposed to represent. And this is something that it affirmed they are themselves. And so hey, guys, this is history. This is what we've been taught. This is what the message has been. Let me practice it. And then you practice it. Then you start seeing why you're already seeing that the things in the world exist because. And now that you are in the faith, you see how it's connected with the normal stuff of life. You find out that there's people who are supposed to be speaking who don't have the courage to stand up and give it the representation that it deserves. Why? Because they're mixed up in it. But the truth demands that the public knows that the reason that Islam is failing you, the reason Christianity is failing you, is because this is going on. Because this is going on. Well, the, the existence of the power that be don't want that out there. They don't want that truth out there. They don't live that truth. So you become a threat. And so that's what you do when you're the real deal. You become a threat. You don't, Malcolm could have easily said, well, okay, I'll be silent on that. We'll just stick to some other stuff. Like Trump is trying to get people to do in America today. Put that Epstein stuff down. We talk about other things. Just forget about that. That we won't even record any of that in history. In fact, we won't even record that I was impeached. We'll just leave that out. Make everything look good. Make me be the greatest president America has ever had. Okay? All right. Anyway, so this is what these guys was recognizing. So they said, we got to tell the people. People, listen up. We didn't come this far just to become a part of the problem. We came this far to learn and to tell you so we can eliminate the problem. That's why we're here. They were killed. They themselves knew it was going to happen. They expected it. They didn't know when. They hoped it wouldn't, but deep down inside, they knew it would. And why would it happen? Because that power that is controlling and manipulating and deceiving the people of the world didn't plan to do any changing. And they know that Malcolm X, they knew that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had found the truth. They knew that these guys had stepped into the truth because they decided to walk in the truth. See, talking the truth doesn't mean a thing. It's walking the truth that means something. These guys, oh, there were others. I just chose, and I don't mean that out of any disrespect. I just chose these two because they're well known. So they are walking the truth, and they must go because now all the rest of us in America, all the rest of us in the world that knows of these guys and their plight, we're watching. We watch them. We watching them even after they died. But what's the main message? The main message is they are dead now. They are someplace that none of us, even though we know we gonna go, but we're not trying to rush it. And the world is telling you, you get out of line. This is where you're going. And we just proved it. And so you sit back down. And if there's a God somewhere, knowing that your freedom is in standing up, even if it took you the same way Dr. King and Malcolm X went. It might mean that it's the only door out of hell. It might mean that it is required that anybody that's deserving to really live in life must be willing to stand up for life and not be afraid of death and stand and thereby walk y'all into life. But even if that's the case, just how it must look to you, look to me, to sit back and know that this is a way out and speak it out. Talking ain't doing too much. The other guys got killed, and it doesn't seem to be doing too much for any of us. So they are free, and we still back here. We might have been led, we might have been motivated up until the killing. But when the killing came, we sat back down. And we've been sitting back down ever since. And we made making these little measured steps that's really getting us no place. And then when we thought we might have gotten a little bit of place, here comes someone comes along like MAGA, talking about making America great, trying to wipe you off the page. You know, like they said, look at it like this. They got something that comes on social media called Chosen War. And they talk about stuff that we never even heard about. You know, they try to, in America, try to tell you that the world started, well, America started with people when Christopher Columbus. Now, everybody knows the story not true, but this is what they want everybody to believe. That's when all about humanity started on this side. That didn't start until this happened. And then when you get on the spiritual side, they want to say the world started when we start talking about Jesus and the King James Version, stuff like that. Then you come along and you hear thousands of years before that story that they tell you about Jesus was manifest, there another story was in existence with other people who were just as magnificent as you're trying to make these to be, except they were more magnificent. But it was wiped out. And you say, well, you can't imagine somebody just wiping out history. You can't imagine people just wiping out what actually existed. Well, if you can imagine, if it's difficult for you to imagine that that could possibly happen, look what Trump is trying to do now, going through the Smithsonian. We want to wipe this out. We want to eliminate this. We're just going to give the best story. Now, that can give you some reason to understand how easily that could have happened back then. That yes, there is a possibility for those who are unsure that that could have happened. So, what does that mean? What does that mean to us? Well, let's see. Let me see if I made a note here. Well, that's well. I guess when I started talking, I'm remembering some of the things that I noted down, and seems as if I've basically covered them. But if I had to sum up the message, it would be the same message that I'm saying all the time. We as a nation of people, Americans, have got to wake up. But we as individuals, individual Americans, have to wake up. And this is the same message that I give to people all over the world. We as a nation, we as nations, and we as people have to wake up and come together, nations with people, with the common goal that all of you agree to work towards. And if you do that, and when you do that, you will find out that the same things that's important to one is the same thing that's important to others. And it's always been the problem is how do you satisfy everybody? That has been the major problem. And the reason there's been a major problem is because you always found people saying and thinking that they know best. You know, like for a person come here and say, I want to know, talk about computers. Well, for the most part, most folks don't know anything about computers. So you have to listen to the person who's talking about computers. But the person who's talking about computers can't and doesn't, just like you, know anything about that which you know about. So what you know is just as important as what he knows. But you have to make sure that both of you know that both of you are important by doing what you do. And that's what the challenge of it is. Here in America and during these times which we lived, and I'm sure the times before, is that even that doesn't work when you try to work it out that way because something else happens. What is it that happens? The main point is missing. And what is the main point? The main point is that there is one that guides. There is direction. There but you don't know it. But when you do know it, and I don't know why it takes some people so long, that is respect for what you don't see. Because what you do see is here because of that which you don't see. So the challenge is for you to believe in that which you don't see because of what you do see. And allow that power, if you may, to exist and experience a life through you and through what you have been given to do by making sure that as beautiful as it is in you, it will be done through you. And why? Because everyone is looking out for one another, recognizing that the powers that be have made it possible that all things are possible, giving and making, providing for you all things that you need outside of yourselves and within side as well, through your brain, through whatever the spiritual processes might be. I'm not going to try to act like I know them. I don't, but I do know they're there to function and do the work that is required. So wake up, Americans. Let Trump know that you're not paying any attention to that stuff that he's talking about. We're not focusing on there. We're focusing on solutions. We're focusing on what steps must be made to make sure that everybody got a job and a job they love. We got to spend our time thinking about when everybody got a job, how we're going to operate this thing to make sure that everybody continues to have that ability to go and do what they love so they can receive that joy. And as they do what they love, they are creating all of the things that makes our heaven and our paradise real. Let us focus on how we gonna move that mountain and make things happen and stop worrying about black folks and white folks who gonna pick some cotton, get their out to pick cotton. Let us do the real things. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give that to you on this morning to contemplate while you go out through the day. You don't have to spend just your whole day talking and listening to the media talking about the problems, talking about non-solutions. Now you hooked to something to think about where you get a chance to play a part and are being asked, you're being solicited to play a part in the solution. So again, until the next time, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye for now.